Welcome to Podcast Answers, the show where I help you start and grow your podcast, answering all sorts of questions along the way about podcasting. Today, we are going to be talking about a podcast one sheet. What is a podcast one sheet? All of those fun things. You may notice if you're watching live with me that I am not in my normal studio. That's right, I am actually out and about. I brought some equipment with me, and I am, that's it. What I'm doing, I'm recording a podcast. So, hey guys, welcome to Podcast Answers. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about what is a podcast one sheet. Not podcast one. Podcast one was a podcasting thing, and radio group, I don't know exactly what they were, but this is a podcast one sheet. What is a one sheet, you may ask? That's a good question. It's a great question, actually. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about that. But first, you can actually call in live today. Our phone number is going to be, why can't I get my call? There we go. Podcast phone number is 574-501-4945. If you'd like to be on our show, again, that number is 574-501-4945. And that will get you right here on the show tonight. Yeah, hey, it's a little bit different. I am actually in, like I said, I'm not in studio tonight. I am actually just hanging out somewhere. So today, it may sound a little bit different than the normal show too. So again, challenges of doing a podcast on the road. I kind of wanted to continue to do the show, even though I was just not in my normal studio. So welcome to that. I'm testing some new things out tonight. Actually, one of the things that I'm testing out is the Elgato Wavelink software, the new one. It's kind of nice because it allows you to create some virtual channels, kind of create a mixer, if you will. It allows you to add applications and have different outputs. So I have a mix that's specifically for my for Ecamm, for the live stream from where I'm actually recording this at, and then I also have a mix for Zoom Phone. So if you want to call in tonight, you'll actually be getting the stuff off that. So that's kind of how I'm doing that and creating some mix minuses for the podcast show tonight. But let's continue to talk a little bit about what a one sheet is. So a one sheet is essentially just a one sheet of paper, hence the name one sheet, that is a document that used by marketing or sales tools. Normally, think of it as a way to summarize your podcast, your project, you're like an artist or a business. It just acts kind of like your elevator pitch. So if you were in an elevator and you walked up and someone said, "Hey, what do you do?" or "Hey, what's your podcast about?" I could say, "Here's my pitch. I create a podcast that helps people answer questions about podcasting so that people can start and grow podcasts." And so that's kind of my elevator pitch. But a one sheet is something that you can hand off to somebody and say things. Well, technically, there's kind of two different kind of ways and you can think about a one sheet. And one is for you as a guest. Like, let's say you want to be a guest on another show. The other one sheet that you would have is your one sheet for your podcast. So again, same kind of things apply, but what you'll need on each of those are just a little bit different depending on the purpose of the one sheet that you are doing. So the one sheet, if you were going to be a guest, you're going to want something that has your professional headshot. It's a high resolution photo that's going to be welcoming. You want to have it be professional, not something that you just took on your phone, but something that's going to be professional, because that way it allows you to look good, put your best foot forward, if you will. You can get them for a fairly decent price, but you want a high resolution, welcoming photo on there. You want your bio. You want a short third-person biography highlighting recent and relevant credentials. So why are you able to talk about the things that you're talking about, that you're trying to pitch yourself to be on somebody else's show? So for me, it would say, I've helped start podcasts for this person, especially if they're high knowledgeable people, things that people are going to know. Those are places that you're going to want to have your talking point or your bio. You're also going to put your talking points or your topics on there. List 2 to 3 specific topics or themes that you can discuss. So for me, in my one sheet, I would talk about things like I help people get high quality audio and video. I help people understand what podcasting is about. Things like that. You can even include some sample interview questions on there to help the host prepare a little bit. Now, as you know, if you've done podcasting at all, you want to actually, if you're a host, you want to do your own homework there. You want to have your own homework, interview questions, not some sample questions that I put on a sheet. But the nice thing about putting it on a sheet is it gets you thinking. It gets you going, okay, these are some things that Andy could talk about for a little while, but let's ask some other questions, come up with some other questions as a good podcast host would be doing. You want to have other interview questions now. You can also have an add as heard on section too. So links to previous podcast appearances and other media features that you've been featured on. You can include those in your one sheet to say, I've been on this podcast, this podcast, this podcast. I've talked to the national news about podcasting, things like that. You can put those in there. Now, I have not been on the national news talking about podcasting, but if you were, you would put those things in there and some links to that so people can hear other places that you have been featured and other places that you've actually been on podcasts talking about the things that you want to do. And the last and most important thing about having a podcast one sheet for you as a guest is have somewhere that they can click and get to a booking link like Calendly, Google, whatever like that. So somewhere that they can schedule you and they can actually book you to be on the show if they want to. So I like to actually put those as QR codes too, just because it may be something that they don't have a phone, so you can't actually click on it if you're not sending it digitally. But if you're actually going to pass it out physically, you're going to want something like a QR code in there. That way you can easily get people to your booking link so that they can actually book you as a podcast guest. Now, the next type of podcast one sheet is for your own podcast. And this would be something that again, is great. It's more of a marketing technique because, again, people maybe, especially if you want to get your word out about your podcast, like this is your elevator pitch, guys. This is what you do to actually market your podcast. This is where you're saying, instead of a headshot on here, you want your podcast name and logo, your show's branding, your fonts, your colors, your whatever you have, you call your podcast, it's your branding. So like for me in this podcast, I would want my logo, which is the circle that has like headphones around it and a little wave, like audio wavegram thing, like the eyes of a smiley face. And then it says podcast answers. Now, again, I can choose my coloring on that. I use some different colors of purples and whites and just depending on everything where it's at. So I would definitely brand that, put your logo. I would put it in the same, maybe like your cover art, especially if you have your cover art, because that way, if people are going to search for you and want to listen to the podcast, your podcast, it's important that they know exactly what podcast that they're listening to, that they're looking up. So if you hand them a sheet of paper or you send them to this PDF of your show, you're going to want your logo in there that is the cover art for your show. That way that when people are searching for it in Apple Podcast or whatever podcast they're listening to, they're going to find your show and they're going to know, hey, this is actually the show for this sheet. I would also include your tagline, a catchy one-liner that describes your podcast. So for me, helping people start and grow podcasting, their podcast, all while answering questions along the way. That's the same thing that I start every show out with, helping people start and grow their podcast, answering any podcasting questions along the way. That's the same logo. That's the same branding that I use on every tagline that I use for every one of my episodes that I start with. So I would do the same thing for your one sheet. You're going to want to have people know what your show is about. So if you have a tagline, some catchy one-liner that describes your show, put that in your one sheet so people know it. They know what they're getting into. They know why that they should be listening. Put your host bio in there, a brief background about you and your credentials and why you are skilled to talk about the topic that you're talking about. Like, why would someone want to listen to you? Why would they want to listen to me? And so for me, in this kind of brief example, this would be Andy Lehman. I'm Andy Lehman. I'm the host of the Podcast Answers podcast. I have been podcasting since 2007, and I have started several podcasts as well as helped many people start their podcasting journey and get going off of the ground. Then you're going to want to also put your show description. You can, in the host bio, you can put your picture in there. Again, use that high quality headshot that you have. Put your show description in there. What is your podcast about and who's it for? So this kind of goes a little bit with the catchy one-liner, because my show description is that, except for it would be a little bit longer because it would be something along the lines of, every week on Thursday, I put out an episode that is all about podcasting and podcasting questions that I'm answering for people. And I do record this live. And so you can come on the show and ask your own question if you want. The target audience is your demographics, interests of your listeners. So for me, this is going to be people who are brand new at podcasting, haven't started their podcast journey yet, all the way up to advanced podcasting people is my target audience. People who are interested in podcasting. There we go. Simplify that down. My target audience is people who are interested in podcasting. It doesn't matter if you're brand new to podcasting or have been podcasting for a very, very, very long time. My show is for you. My target audience is people who are interested in podcasting. Now let's talk a little bit about your format, your episode format. Put that on there, your length, your frequency, and structure of your episodes. So for me, I would say anywhere between 10 and 30 minutes weekly on Thursdays, afternoons. The structure of my episodes is a one question. I'm talking about one topic for the most part about podcasting. I'm answering one podcasting question a week and going from there. So you can also include some sample topics and episodes. So highlight your best or most popular episodes. You can go into your podcasting host right now and you can look and see what your what your most popular episode is. And you can put those sample topics in there. You can even link to them or put little QR codes if people want to listen to it. If you've had notable guests on, put some guest information on there. So like, for instance, if I've had Doc Rock from Ecamm on my show, if I've had Paul Gowder from the powwows.com on, if I've had Katie Fox from Ecamm on, put those people in there. Those are notable people that people may want to actually listen. Also, put your contact information, your email, your website, your social media links. You can put them in there because people want to be able to get a hold of you. The one sheet is a concise one-page document that you use for marketing your podcast. So get out there, make it. The one thing to do is just not list don't open up Microsoft Word and put all of this information in there. Just don't do that, guys. That's going to look ugly. You want to make this look beautiful. You want to be able to pass this on. And the reason you would want to do this for your specific podcast is listening. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times people listen to podcasts from word of mouth, right? They hear people talking about a topic, and if it interests them, I always say, hey, guys, if you're interested in podcasting, listen to my Podcast Answers show, because that's what it's all about, is podcasting. And so for me, it's getting other people listening to your show is most likely going to be done via word of mouth. A podcast one sheet for your podcast a lot of times could be something along the lines, the purpose of it could be for if you're trying to get sponsors, now this isn't a complete media kit. A media kit would include things like your download numbers and social media numbers and YouTube numbers and things like that. This is just a very simple, like, hey, here's my podcast, and you just interested in it, and you can give them a media kit later if they want it. But this is something that you're going to be doing for, for whatever. So marketing, for getting new people on the show, getting guests on the show. That's a very important one too, because if you have somebody that you want to reach out for a guest and say, hey, would you be on my podcast? They're going to say, why would I want to be on your podcast? And you can say, here's my one sheet. It has all the information you need to know about my podcast, because especially if guests don't need to know how many numbers you have. They don't need the downloads. They don't. So that is why you need a one sheet if you do not have one. And the great thing is, if you have a website, you can put the link to it on your website. You can send them to there. That's the way that they can get it. So guys, do you have a one sheet? Call me. Let me know. My voicemail number is 574-501-4945. That is just a voicemail, 574-501-4945. Call me. Let me know. Do you have a one sheet? I want to hear from you. I want to hear your feedback. Tell me about your information on your one sheet. What do you have on your one sheet? Show me your example. I would love to see it and offer that up as an example for others to be able to see in the community. Guys, if you have any questions, you can always contact me at podcastanswers.com/contact. I would love to help you start and grow your podcast today. So with that, guys, have a safe week and keep podcasting.